Comparison between greenhouse Phalaenopsis and wild Phalaenopsis. Differences in color, size, and adaptability. Phalaenopsis orchids, commonly known as moth orchids, are among the most popular and beloved orchids worldwide. However, not all Phalaenopsis are the same. They can either be cultivated in controlled greenhouse environments, greenhouse Phalaenopsis, or grow naturally in the wild Phalaenopsis. These two varieties differ significantly not only in their habitats but also in their flower color, size, ease of care, and adaptability. This article will provide an in-depth comparison of the key differences between greenhouse-grown and wild Phalaenopsis, giving a clear understanding of both types of orchids. 1. Flower color. One of the most noticeable differences between greenhouse Phalaenopsis and wild Phalaenopsis is their flower color. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis, due to controlled cultivation and selective breeding, greenhouse Phalaenopsis often display a wide range of vibrant and diverse colors. Orchid breeders can create unique shades, such as pure white, soft pink, deep purple, red, yellow, and even orchids with spots or stripes. The color of greenhouse Phalaenopsis flowers is often brighter and more intense compared to their wild counterparts, as the ideal growing conditions encourage full flower development. Wild Phalaenopsis. The colors of wild Phalaenopsis are generally more subtle and less varied than those of greenhouse-grown orchids. As their natural habitats, wild Phalaenopsis typically display softer tones, such as white, pale yellow, light pink, or delicate lavender. Their colors are less vivid because these orchids have adapted to blend into their natural surroundings rather than stand out for ornamental purposes. So while less flashy, wild Phalaenopsis possess a natural and understated beauty that appeals to many orchid enthusiasts. 2. Size of plant and flowers. Another major distinction between these two types of orchids is their size, both in terms of the plant itself and the flowers. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis. In a controlled greenhouse environment, Phalaenopsis orchids tend to grow larger than they would in the wild. Their leaves can reach lengths of 20 to 30 cm, 8 to 12 inches or more, with broad, sturdy foliage. The flowers are typically larger, with individual blooms often spanning 10 to 12 cm, 4 to 5 inches in diameter. Optimal care practices, such as specialized fertilizers and pest control, contribute to the impressive size of greenhouse Phalaenopsis. Wild Phalaenopsis. In contrast, wild Phalaenopsis are generally smaller in both plant and flower size. These orchids grow in dense tropical forests where they compete with other plants for resources like light, water, and nutrients. As a result, their leaves are usually shorter, and their flowers tend to be smaller, measuring about 5 to 7 cm, 2 to 3 inches in diameter. Though more modest in size, wild Phalaenopsis have a delicate and natural charm. 3. Habitat and adaptability. So the environments in which greenhouse and wild Phalaenopsis grow are vastly different, affecting their adaptability and growth habits. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis. These orchids are grown in highly controlled conditions, including stable temperatures, humidity levels, and light exposure. Greenhouses are typically kept at temperatures between 1825 to 6470 Celsius, with high humidity, around 60 to 70%, and indirect light. In these ideal conditions, greenhouse Phalaenopsis thrive without the stresses found in the wild, such as pests or extreme weather. However, when moved to less controlled environments, such as a typical home or garden, greenhouse Phalaenopsis may struggle to adapt to sudden changes in temperature, humidity, and light levels. Wild Phalaenopsis, on the other hand, are accustomed to fluctuating natural conditions. They grow in tropical rainforests, where temperatures can rise during the day and drop at night, and humidity levels and light exposure change throughout the day. These orchids often grow on trees, where they receive filtered sunlight and moisture from the air. As a result, wild Phalaenopsis have developed a greater ability to withstand changes in environmental conditions. While they are more resilient in their native habitats, cultivating them outside of the wild can be challenging, as they require a more specific microclimate to thrive. 4. Ease of care. For those interested in growing orchids, the level of care required can be a significant factor in deciding between greenhouse or wild Phalaenopsis. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis, because they are cultivated in a controlled environment. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis are generally easier to care for, so they are bred to adapt well to indoor conditions, making them popular choices for orchid beginners. These orchids don't require strong direct sunlight and can thrive with moderate care, including maintaining proper temperatures, watering schedules, and occasional fertilization. However, they are more sensitive to environmental changes and can quickly suffer if exposed to extreme conditions. Wild Phalaenopsis can be much more challenging to grow, especially outside their native habitats. They require high humidity, good airflow and indirect sunlight, which are difficult to replicate in most home environments. Successfully cultivating wild orchids demands patience, knowledge of their natural conditions, and careful attention to detail. However, for experienced orchid growers, the reward of successfully growing wild Phalaenopsis is the satisfaction of nurturing a rare and exquisite plant. 5. Aesthetic and commercial value. The aesthetic and commercial value of greenhouse Phalaenopsis and wild Phalaenopsis differ, reflecting their popularity and rarity. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis, because they are mass-produced and easy to grow, greenhouse Phalaenopsis are widely available and more affordable. They are often sold in grocery stores, florists, and garden centers, making them accessible to a broad audience. Their large, colorful blooms and relative ease of care make them ideal for decorative purposes, from home decor to gifts and special events. Commercially, greenhouse Phalaenopsis hold a high aesthetic value, but are generally more common. Wild Phalaenopsis, due to their rarity and the difficulty of cultivation, have higher commercial value for collectors and orchid enthusiasts. Their natural, unique beauty and scarcity make them highly prized among serious orchid growers. However, they are not as readily available as their greenhouse counterparts and are often sold at a premium. Many collectors value wild Phalaenopsis for their authenticity and the challenge of growing a plant that closely resembles its wild ancestors. Ano folk, nasi moi kolin, seem to share their root and their ancestor. Blind, baked collectors would need to swim wild. 6. Hybridization. Hybridization is a crucial process in orchid cultivation, leading to the development of new varieties with diverse colors, sizes, and shapes. Greenhouse Phalaenopsis hybridization is common in greenhouse-grown orchids and are relatively easy to accomplish due to the controlled environment. Breeders can create new orchid varieties with desirable traits, such as larger flowers, more vibrant colors, or increased resistance to certain growing conditions. The ability to manipulate the orchid's genetics in a greenhouse setting has led to a vast array of hybrid Phalaenopsis orchids that cater to different aesthetic preferences and growing conditions. Wild Phalaenopsis hybridization in wild Phalaenopsis is a natural and slower process, often occurring without human intervention. In the wild, orchids cross-pollinate naturally, resulting in unique variations that may not be found in greenhouse hybrids. While breeding wild Phalaenopsis is more difficult, these natural hybrids are highly prized for their uniqueness and the unpredictable beauty of their flowers. Each wild orchid is often a one-of-a-kind specimen, making them particularly appealing to collectors. Conclusion. The differences between greenhouse Phalaenopsis and wild Phalaenopsis are evident in their flower color, size, adaptability, ease of care, and commercial value. Each type of orchid offers its own advantages and challenges, making them suitable for different kinds of orchid enthusiasts. For those seeking easy-to-care-for plants with striking flowers, greenhouse Phalaenopsis is an excellent choice. However, for collectors and experienced growers who appreciate the natural beauty and rarity of wild orchids, wild Phalaenopsis represents a rewarding but demanding endeavor. Both types contribute to the rich diversity of the orchid world, each offering unique experiences and beauty to those who cultivate them. The impact of weather and location on orchid growth. Growing orchids is a delicate art that requires a deep understanding of how weather and location affect their development. Orchids, known for their stunning variety, need more than just attention. They require specific environmental conditions to thrive. Two critical factors that influence the success of growing orchids are the weather and the planting location. In this article, we'll explore how these factors impact orchid growth and provide practical tips to help growers achieve the best results. 1. Understanding orchids and their ecological needs. Orchids, Orchidaceae, are one of the largest families of flowering plants, with over 25,000 different species that thrive in various climates, ranging from tropical rainforests to temperate regions. Orchids can be found in diverse habitats such as dense jungles, tropical rainforests, mountainous areas, and even deserts. However, most orchids prefer high humidity, indirect sunlight, and stable temperatures. The key environmental factors for growing orchids include temperature. Orchids typically thrive in temperatures ranging from 59 degrees to 86 degrees, 15 degrees to 30 degrees, depending on the species. Humidity. Most orchids prefer environments with 50% to 80% humidity. Light. Orchids grow best with indirect or filtered sunlight. Air circulation. Good airflow helps prevent mold and keeps orchids healthy. 2. The role of weather in orchid growth. 2.1. Temperature. Temperature plays a significant role in the growth and blooming of orchids. Different orchid species have varying temperature requirements, but generally, they grow well between 59 deg to 86 deg F. Tropical orchids, species like Phalaenopsis and Dendrobium thrive in tropical areas, with temperatures between 68 deg and 86 deg F. Temperatures that are too low can slow growth and delay blooming, while excessive heat can cause leaves to wilt and weaken the plant. Cool climate orchids. Orchids like Cymbidium prefer cooler environments, thriving in temperatures between 50 deg and 68 deg F. In hot climates, these orchids may struggle to bloom or grow properly. Nighttime temperatures that are 5-10 deg, cooler than daytime temperatures, are often essential to trigger flowering in many orchid species. Therefore, maintaining stable and suitable temperatures is crucial. 2.2. Humidity. Humidity is another critical factor for keeping orchids healthy and promoting strong growth. Orchids generally require more humidity than many other plants, especially those native to tropical rainforests. Tropical orchids, orchids like Cattleya, which originate from rainforests, require high humidity, typically between 60% and 80%. And the air is too dry, the leaves can become dehydrated, affecting the plant's ability to photosynthesize. Drought-tolerant orchids. Some orchids, such as certain species of Dendrobium, can tolerate lower humidity levels, around 50% to 60%. However, even these species need some moisture to thrive. 2.3. Light. Light is essential for photosynthesis and energy production in orchids. However, not all orchids need direct sunlight. Indirect light. Most orchids, such as Phalaenopsis and Oncidium, thrive under indirect light or in partial shade. These species prefer soft, filtered light and can suffer from sunburn if exposed to direct sunlight for too long. Bright light. Orchids like Dendrobium can handle more intense light but still require some shade during the hottest parts of the day. If an orchid doesn't receive enough light, its leaves will darken, and it may not bloom. On the other hand, too much light can scorch the leaves and fade the flowers. 3. The importance of location in orchid cultivation. 3.1. Growing orchids indoors. Growing orchids indoors is a popular choice, especially for species sensitive to changing weather conditions. Indoor environments allow growers to control factors such as temperature, light, and humidity more easily. Benefits: indoor cultivation protects orchids from extreme weather conditions like heavy rain, strong winds, or scorching sun. It also allows growers to maintain ideal humidity and temperature with tools like humidifiers or grow lights. Challenges: space limitations and insufficient natural light can be drawbacks to indoor growing. Additionally, poor air circulation indoors can lead to mold growth and pests. 3.2. Growing orchids outdoors. Growing orchids outdoors can be rewarding, particularly if the weather and location suit the plant's needs. Benefits: orchids grown outdoors benefit from natural light and better air circulation. There's some species, such as Dendrobium and Vanda, can thrive where they receive ample sunlight and fresh air. Challenges: outdoor orchids are exposed to extreme weather, such as heavy rain, strong winds, or temperature fluctuations. Growers may need to protect their plants by moving them indoors or providing shade when necessary. 3.3. Choosing the right location. Choosing the right location is crucial for ensuring the health and blooming of orchids. Consider the following factors. Light exposure. Ensure that the orchids are placed where they can receive indirect light or dappled sunlight, avoiding prolonged exposure to direct sun. Air circulation. A location with good air circulation prevents mold and disease, helping orchids to stay healthy. Temperature and humidity control. In regions with extreme weather, growers should be prepared to adjust conditions to protect their orchids, using shade cloths, moving plants indoors, or using humidifiers. 4. Seasonal impact on orchid growth. Seasons also play a significant role in orchid growth and flowering. In tropical regions, orchids often follow a seasonal blooming cycle influenced by changes in temperature, humidity, and light. Rainy season. In tropical areas, the rainy season provides the ideal conditions for orchid growth due to abundant moisture and consistent humidity. This is the time when most orchids grow new roots, leaves, and flower spikes. Dry season. During the dry season, many orchids enter a dormant phase. During this time, watering and feeding should be reduced to prevent root rot. In temperate climates, orchids typically thrive in the spring and summer, when temperatures are warm and daylight hours are long. 5. Adjusting growing conditions for orchids. 5.1. Managing temperature. Growers can use methods like shade cloths or moving plants indoors to adjust temperature during extreme weather. Fans or air conditioning can also help maintain a stable environment. 5.2. Managing humidity. A humidifier can be a useful tool for increasing moisture levels, especially during dry seasons or when growing orchids indoors. 5.3. Managing light. For orchids that require lower light, growers can use shade cloths or position the plants under larger trees to reduce direct sun exposure. For indoor growing, specialized grow lights can ensure orchids get the right amount of light. Conclusion. Weather and location play a crucial role in the growth and blooming of orchids. By understanding the specific needs of each orchid species and adjusting factors like temperature, humidity, and light, growers can create the perfect environment for their orchids to flourish. With the right care and patience, orchids can become a symbol of beauty and elegance, bringing joy and satisfaction to growers worldwide. Hello everyone! Today we're going to learn about the technique of dividing shoots, a highly effective method for encouraging plant growth and flowering. For plant care enthusiasts, this is a technique you can't miss, especially when you want to propagate or help your plants grow better. To help your plants grow strong and bloom vibrantly, caring for healthy roots is essential. Only when the roots are strong can the plant absorb enough nutrients, grow steadily, and produce healthy new shoots. Today I'll be sharing some useful tips on how to successfully divide shoots, helping your plant not only stay healthy but also easily produce more new growth. The importance of roots and how to care for them. To understand the importance of root care, we first need to know that roots are the essential part that helps plants absorb water and nutrients. The roots not only play a role in drawing water and minerals from the soil, but also provide life support for the entire plant. If the roots are weak, diseased, or poorly cared for, the plant will struggle to grow, bloom, and produce new shoots. Therefore, taking care of and protecting the roots is the most crucial condition for sustainable plant growth and abundant flowering. Additionally, when dividing shoots, if the roots are not properly cared for, the propagation may fail. Strong roots will help the newly divided shoots adapt and grow in their new environment, avoiding the risk of weakening or dying after the division. Trimming and caring for the roots. Before dividing shoots, it's very important to inspect and trim any roots that are tightly clinging to the pot. These roots often grow vigorously and cling to the inner surface of the pot, causing overcrowding and limiting the plant's growth space. If you don't properly trim these roots, pulling them out may cause severe damage to the root system, making it hard for the plant to recover. When trimming, be sure to be gentle and careful. Avoid cutting too deeply or damaging the main root system too much, as doing so could cause the plant to lose its ability to absorb water and nutrients, leading to weakness. Take a close look at each part of the root system, especially the large, healthy roots that help the plant absorb nutrients. It's best to only trim small, weak, or damaged roots. Choosing the right time to divide shoots. Timing is also a key factor in the success of dividing shoots. To ensure that the plant recovers quickly and grows strongly after division, you should do this in the spring or early summer. This is when the plant is growing the most vigorously, and the warm weather and appropriate humidity make it easier for the plant to adapt to its new environment after the division. Dividing shoots during the winter or on very cold days could harm the plant, as this is the plant's dormant period. Growth slows down, and the ability to recover after division is much lower. Preparing tools and proper sterilization. Before you start, make sure you have the necessary tools like sharp scissors or specialized knives for dividing shoots. Choosing the right sharp tools will help you make precise cuts, minimizing unnecessary damage to the plant. It's extremely important to ensure that all your tools are thoroughly sterilized. You can use rubbing alcohol or boiling water to clean them, preventing bacteria and fungi from entering the plant through the cuts. If the tools aren't clean, the plant can become infected, which could seriously harm both the parent plant and the newly divided shoot. Inspecting and selecting the shoot for division. Before dividing, carefully inspect the shoot you intend to divide. To ensure that the shoot has a good chance of surviving and growing after division, it should have at least 2 to 3 mature leaves and a healthy root system. This is crucial because if the shoot hasn't developed enough, its chances of surviving once separated from the parent plant will be very low. Also, the shoot needs to have a sufficiently thick stem to support independent growth after division. If the stem is too small or weak, the shoot will struggle to adapt to the new environment and may die after being divided. How to effectively divide shoots. Once you've selected the shoot for division, carefully cut away from the parent plant. This step requires gentle handling to avoid damaging the root system of both the shoot and the parent plant. For plants with thin, delicate roots, try to keep as much of the root system intact as possible, as this will help the shoot adapt more easily to its new environment. After making the cut, if you have rooting hormone available, apply a small amount to the cut area on the shoot. This hormone will stimulate the shoot to quickly form new roots and anchor itself in the soil, which is especially useful for plants that are slow to root or for shoots with a weak root system. In our method, we use toothpaste to seal the wound after dividing shoots. This technique is used with the hope of protecting the cut area, preventing infection, and helping the wound dry out more quickly. When dividing shoots, applying toothpaste to the cut will create a protective layer, limiting the entry of bacteria and fungi, which could harm the plant during its recovery process. When dividing shoots, you should make clean cuts to avoid causing too much damage to the remaining parts of the parent plant. After separating the shoot, applying toothpaste to the wound will help protect the damaged area, especially in the first few days after division. Toothpaste helps dry the wound, allowing the plant to quickly form new cells to heal itself. Dividing shoots is a common asexual propagation method in gardening. It helps create new plants from the parent plant by separating the shoots, or dividing shoots that grow from the stem or roots of the parent plant. This technique is both efficient and fast for propagation, while ensuring that the offspring retain the genetic traits of the parent plant. This way, the divided plants will have the same shape, flower color, and growth characteristics as the parent. This method is particularly useful for plants that are hard to grow from seeds, or when you want to preserve rare traits from the parent plant. Benefits of the dividing shoots method. Retaining genetic traits. One of the biggest advantages of dividing shoots is that it preserves the genetic traits of the parent plant. After division, the offspring will have the same flower color, size, and growth rate as the parent, which helps preserve rare or hard to propagate varieties. Quick and efficient. Compared to other propagation methods like seed sowing, dividing shoots yields faster results with a higher success rate. The offspring already have a root system, making it easier for them to adapt to their new environment without needing as much time to develop like seedlings. After successfully dividing shoots, replanting the divided plants is a crucial step to ensure their healthy growth and stability in their new environment. Below is a detailed guide to help you carry out this process effectively, replanting the branch and caring for it after separation. After successfully separating the branch, you need to replant it in a new pot. Make sure the pot is the right size and has drainage holes to avoid waterlogging. You can line the bottom of the pot with a layer of foam or small stones to help create ventilation for the roots to grow. After planting, water gently so that the soil is moist but not too wet, because overwatering can cause root rot. Place the pot in a place with soft light and cool air, helping the plant adapt to the new environment without being shocked by sudden changes. In the early stages after planting, regularly check the soil moisture and the growth status of the plant to promptly adjust the care regimen if necessary. Before putting the foam in the pot, break the foam into equal parts for easy arrangement. These foam pieces will help create airy space for the roots to grow. You can break the foam into small pieces of about 1 to 2 cm, depending on the size of the pot and the type of plant you are growing. Place a layer of foam or small stones at the bottom of the pot. This will help create ventilation and improve drainage for the plant. Foam or small stones will prevent the soil from being compacted, giving the roots room to grow and absorb water and nutrients more effectively. Fill the pot with foam until it is about 2/3 full. After you have filled the pot with potting soil, the next step is to add a layer of pine bark on top. Pine bark not only has a decorative effect on the pot, but also brings many important benefits for the growth of young plants. Retain moisture. The pine bark layer helps maintain soil moisture by limiting water evaporation. This is especially useful on hot days when the soil can dry out quickly. Keeping the soil moist will help prevent the roots from being stressed due to lack of water, thereby promoting healthy growth of the plant. Aeration. Pine bark has a breathable structure, which helps improve air circulation in the soil. This aeration is important for root development, as it needs oxygen to function effectively. When the soil is too compact, the roots can suffocate, leading to problems such as root rot or stunted growth. Weed prevention. Pine bark also acts as a natural barrier, helping to prevent weed growth. Weeds not only compete with seedlings for light and nutrients, but can also create a favorable environment for pests. By limiting weed growth, you give your seedlings a better chance of growing well. Provide nutrition. Over time, pine bark will gradually decompose and provide additional nutrients to the soil. It is a natural source of fertilizer, helping to improve soil quality without the need for chemicals. This will help support healthy and sustainable growth of seedlings. Increase aesthetics. Finally, pine bark also contributes to making the plant pot more beautiful. With its natural color and unique shape, pine bark will create a vivid picture for your living space, increasing the aesthetic value of the garden or interior space. How to add pine bark. When adding pine bark, you should spread a thin layer of about 2 to 5 semi-evenly on top of the soil. Make sure that the layer of pine bark is not too thick, to avoid preventing water and air from contacting the soil. Thanks to the positive effects that pine bark brings, you will help the seedlings grow strong and healthy, thereby optimizing the chances of success for your planting process. Other pots do the same as above. Securing the seedlings after planting. One of the important steps in the process of planting seedlings after separation is to ensure that the plants are stable and upright. To achieve this, you can use two simple but effective methods: using a stake to secure the plant and using a clamp to hold the plant in place. Using a stake to secure the plant. To help the seedling stand upright, you can use a small stick or branch to secure it. Insert the stick into the soil next to the seedling, then gently tie the plant to the stick. This will prevent the plant from falling or swaying as it grows. The stake not only helps the plant stand upright but also limits movement due to wind or when you water it, thereby reducing the risk of damaging the young roots or tilting the stem. Make sure the stick is inserted deep enough to support the weight of the plant and not topple over in strong winds. Using a clamp to secure the plant to the stick. To increase stability, you can use a clamp or soft elastic band to secure the seedling to the stick. This will help the plant stay in place, preventing excessive movement, especially in the early days when the roots are not yet strong enough. Make sure that when tying, you do not tie too tightly, as this can damage the stem or cause root clamping. The tie should have good elasticity to create a small gap between the wire and the stem, allowing the stem to grow without being hindered. The importance of securing the plant. Securing the young plant is very important because in the early stages after planting, the roots are still young and not strong enough to support the weight of the plant. If the plant is not secured, it can easily be blown over by the wind or moved when you water it. This not only makes it difficult for the plant to grow, but can also cause damage to the roots, affecting the long-term development of the plant. By following these steps carefully, you will help your seedlings grow strong and healthy, thereby optimizing your chances of success in planting. Watering. After you have finished planting your seedlings, one of the next important steps is watering. This will not only moisten the soil but also help stabilize the plant. When watering, you should do it gently to avoid shifting the soil around the roots. This is essential because the roots need good contact with the surrounding environment to be able to absorb water and nutrients effectively. When watering, make sure that the water is absorbed evenly into the soil, not just on the surface but also deep into the soil, allowing the roots to easily grow out. However, it is important to note that overwatering can cause waterlogging, which can lead to root rot. Therefore, keep an eye on the soil moisture and only water when necessary. You can use a small shovel to check the soil moisture by gently removing a small amount of soil from the top and feeling if it is moist. 8. Fertilizing and regular care. Once the branch is stabilized and started to grow, you can fertilize gently to provide additional nutrients. Use organic fertilizer or specialized fertilizer for seedlings to ensure that the plant receives enough nutrients without being overloaded. However, be careful to only fertilize at the recommended dose and not to over-fertilize, as this can burn the roots, causing damage to the plant. 9. Monitor growth and make timely adjustments. Regularly monitoring the growth of the plant is an important part of the care process. Carefully observe the leaves, stems, and roots of the plant to detect abnormalities such as yellow leaves, root rot, or slow growth. If you detect a problem, you need to review and adjust the care regimen, light, watering, or nutrition for the plant. Keeping a record of your plant's growth will help you better understand the needs of each plant and optimize future care.